Story time today. What does this bike have to do with Formula One and Marlboro cigarettes? Let's travel back in time. Back in the 1950s, a group of people got together and they started what was called the Amer Group. They were producer and distributor of Marlboro cigarettes in Finland. There's nothing better for a cigarette smoking Finn than racing for McLaren Marlboro team. And guess what happened? What's up everybody, it's Jaryn from Berkshire Bike and Board, and this is an ENVE Mog. Now in this video, we're gonna travel back in time a little bit and figure out what Marlboro cigarettes, Wilson Sporting Goods, shipping in Finland, and this bicycle all have in common. So, back in the 1950s, a group of people got together and they started what was called the Amer Group. And it was actually called like Amer Tobacco or something, but I don't speak Finnish, so I don't know how to pronounce that. But basically what they did is they were signed up as the main producer and distributor of Philip Morris tobacco products, aka Marlboro cigarettes, in Finland. So it turned into a huge company. They reaped profits. With those profits, they took them, they bought shipping boats, they got into the cargo industry. That went well. They bought some newspapers, some media outlets. Next thing you know, they were controlling all of Finland. They were a huge company. And when you get that big, people start taking jabs at you. So, how did the jabs start? Well, we over here at Berkshire Bike and Board like Formula One, so we're gonna talk about some race car stuff. Some of you may have heard of Nico Rosberg. He's a star on Formula One Drive to Survive. And some of you who are even more in tune with the motorsport world might have heard of a gentleman by the name of Keke Rosberg. Well, Keke Rosberg is a Finn. Keke Rosberg was a very famous Finn, and that's where this gets interesting. So, the Amer Group is going along their merry way, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. They're kicking ass and taking names, for the lack of a better term. And they decide that they want to get into a sponsorship with Formula One. So, they start sponsoring the McLaren team, and one of the famous liveries of all of racing history, regardless of the sport, is the McLaren painted in the Marlboro livery. Now, Keke was racing for Williams Racing in the early 80s. He was actually racing for the Williams Racing team in 1982, and he won the Formula One championship that year. And what did Frank Williams, the principal of Williams Racing, let him do when he won that year? He said, Keke, tell you what, you won, you love smoking your cigarettes. You can smoke in the motorhome for 2 days and not have to do any testing. Now this was about as good of a gift as Keke could get because he loved smoking his cigarettes. The Finns absolutely loved Keke. They went crazy when he won the championship. But there was a bit of a resentment brewing in Finland because you know what? Keke was making everybody in Finland smoke, and that was starting to cause some problems. So, fast forward a little bit. Keke gets transferred from the Williams Racing team to the McLaren Racing team, and there's nothing better for a cigarette-smoking Finn than racing for McLaren Marlboro team. They went so far as to put together a special livery for the 1986 Portuguese Grand Prix when Marlboro was getting ready to launch the Marlboro Light cigarette. Now that carton is white and gold, and they painted this car all to the nines in white and gold. And guess what happened? The car never started the race. You wanna know why? It was smoking too much. That is the truth. So, this blew Keke Rosberg and the Marlboro car into legend, if you will, and it started to really shine too light of a spotlight on Keke Rosberg. And what happened was there was a thing called Kluge 88, which was basically a smear campaign put on Keke Rosberg, where they said that Keke Rosberg and Marlboro cigarettes and Philip Morris and the Amer Group were the #1 leading cause for cancer and death in Finland. Now, if I'm the Amer Group, I'm thinking to myself, we got a problem on our hand here. And that's exactly what they thought. And they decided, you know what? Tobacco is not working for us anymore. We're gonna transition. We're gonna transition into sports, health, fitness, and life, and vitality. And that's gonna hopefully rid us of our bad name and allow us to prosper for years into the future. So what did they do? First thing they did is this. They bought Wilson Sporting Goods Company right here in the good old US of A. That went well. They bought some more companies. They bought Mavic Wheels. They bought Solomon Sports for $500 million. They bought Arc'teryx. They bought all sorts of different companies, and they started to build out a beautiful portfolio of outdoor industry companies. Somewhere along the way, they bought this ENVE bicycle company. Now, a lot of you probably know about ENVE and the fact that they started as a wheel manufacturing company. They actually, before that, were a bunch of dune buggy racers out in the Utah desert, and they thought, you know what? We can make better products than a lot of guys doing this, so let's start making carbon wheels for our road bikes. They started making carbon wheels for road bikes and mountain bikes, and people loved them. And they were talented. They were super talented engineers. Enve made the first carbon swing arm for the Santa Cruz V10 in like 2010. They made the crazy fork and handlebar setup for the Cervelo P5X, that like bladed fork. They made all sorts of cool products. Now this is where things get interesting. Is it because they're an amazing set of designers, or is it because of the pressure of the private equity world and the fact that you have to make a profit to keep your business and the mission alive? And so that part I don't know, but what I do know is this. Over the last few years, Enve developed some frames because they were losing market share. Trek started making Bontrager carbon wheels, Santa Cruz is making Reserve carbon wheels, Cervelo's using the Reserve carbon wheels, Specialized has Revol. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And Enve lost a lot of market share, and they probably want to keep that thing running because, to bring it all full circle, the IPO just was announced today, and they got to make a profit. So the question I'll ask is this. Is Enve making frame sets because they want to, or are they making frame sets because the pressure of an IPO launched this week? That, I don't know. It's up for you to decide. So, if you like that kind of content, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. Like I always say, round up for distance, round up for time. Thanks for watching.